but it was filled, full of Semtex H. And I'm looking, and I told the Sudanese, I says, if you intercept many more of these shipments, the next time you go click, click, and open one of these, it's going to blow up.
In your face, yeah.
Yeah. So I went in there and I did that. And once they kind of found out my background, they had me do other things in Sudan. There was 2 ammunition depots, and I went to the 2 ammunition, looked at the safety of the ammunition depot, how the compatibility groups that they had separated. They would get stuff in, a lot of it was junk. They would get in from like Russia and India, and different countries would send their junk, their military munitions, and get rid of it and send it to these third world nations. So it was coming in ships loaded at Port Sudan, and it's by train they would come into Khartoum. They would not know what was on that train car until they opened it up. And I looked at a bunch of Russian blasting caps, that electric blasting caps. They weren't shunted at all. They had no shunts on them at all, the electric blasting caps.
What does that mean, not having a shunt?
Shunt protects electric blasting caps from RF energy. Electric blasting cap has 2 wires coming out of it that can act like antennas. Okay. And if you have a strong enough RF signal, it'll energize those wires, and you could set off electric blast. All of our blasting caps are shunted, have shunts on them.
Yeah.
These Russian blasting caps were unshunted.
Jeez.
And so then I went to their small arms factory. They made 9mm and 12-gauge shotgun ammunition. And so I looked at that, and I went out to the magazine where they store the powder, the smokeless powder for the 9mm and 12-gauge ammunition. I go in the bunker, open up that bunker door out in the middle of nowhere, and first thing, the fumes were just tremendous. The thing was not properly vented. The fumes were, and then I look in there, and there is these drums of these containers of smokeless powder sitting on steel pallets, and then there's loose powder on the floor, and there's no grounding thing. Normally when you enter a powder magazine, you got to be grounded.
Yeah.
So you wear a belt, and then there's a copper strips along the side, and you connect to the copper strips with your belt
to stay grounded.
Yeah, so you don't create any static electricity to set that, ignite that powder. They had none of that protection. Had no lightning protection.
This is in Sudan?
Sudan, yeah.